Alright, what go on my side? Back again with a new video. So I was actually just like thinking of what to talk about today. And I thought that I wanted to talk about what life is like as a 30 plus year old without kids. Now, I feel like 30 is this milestone age where once you get to 30, you just kind of expect that you're supposed to have like, a good amount of stuff like already done. And a lot of this would have come from, TV, I guess society or whatever, but like I really thought, growing up, I'd probably have kids by 30. I think when I was in like um high school, I kind of had like a vision for life. But when I went into college and kind of started getting like real world stuff, I kind of changed my stance on that. I was very like anti kids. I know I kind of sit somewhere in the middle. So yeah, let me just start talking about what it's like being a 30 plus year old without kids. And I use 30 plus loosely. I'm 31, so it's just one plus, just one. Not that I have a problem with aging. I'm perfectly fine with aging. All right, so I like to write down my topics in my notes, just so I don't like ramble on endlessly. Because trust me, I can ramble on. Yeah. So all right, let's talk about societal norms. So like I'm from Jamaica, right? So honestly, being my age and not having kids is crazy. Like the first thing you hear is, "Yo, come off a Gelding truck," and then every year on Father's Day, like, is a point made to like make fun of me. But like, it's not really that big a deal to me. Like, I feel like anybody that takes it like that serious should probably like really do some self-evaluation. But yeah, I really feel like there is a big societal pressure. In fact, ironically, when my dad was around 25, back in his age, because my dad passed, by the way, I mean, condolences. But yeah, when my dad was like 25, right? Like he was pressed to have like a child. Like he was so pressed. He was just like, yo, at the time he was like to my mom's like, yo, I need to have a kid. The guys keep making fun of me. And I'm just like, yo, wow, like my whole existence is based on your friends, them kind of pressure. And you kind of start really thinking about it and you get into this whole because I'm very deep when it comes to philosophy, and you kind of start thinking like a lot of the things that we do we really want to do them, or is it because like there's this societal pressure? And the things with societal pressure, I'm not like against society pressuring us. Also, I have to drink some tea. I don't know why I'm having a headache, but yeah, I'm not against society pressuring us to sorry about that. Turmeric tea, very good for you. But I'm not I'm not against societal pressure because I think sometimes society pressures us to do good things. But I really wish people would spend more time evaluating their thoughts and to see if your thoughts are your own. Because it's like we grow up hearing so many things and we never question them. And I think kids is one of them. Like, I'm not against people having kids. I just wish people really spent more time thinking, is this something that I actually want? Because it's so interesting to me when you realize that people have so many thoughts that aren't actually their own. I want to say that aren't your own. Obviously, most of these thoughts and ideas would have originated from somewhere. But I really wish that we'd spend some time trying to research and kind of learn, okay, this is why I think this way, versus my parents said this, my family said this, so this is what I do. Or I see everybody else doing it, so I do as everybody else. So yeah, I feel like there was so much pressure, long ago to just, be at this age and have kids. I mean, in fact, when my mom was my age, I'd have been probably 11 at the time. So it's kind of crazy that I'm here right now, kidless. But yeah, I don't necessarily feel bad about it. In fact, there's kind of a level of like relief, but I'll get into that. I don't want to skip. So for me personally, one of the biggest reasons why I decided not to have kids, or why I haven't, because I've been in serious relationships before where kids could have been a consideration. But I guess one of my main reasons for not wanting to have kids was, I feel like for me personally, like I wanted to get to a certain point financially, and I felt like if I was to have a child, it would kind of block that. To be fair, I have seen that be proven wrong multiple times. I know multiple people that, weren't the most financially off, and, having a child actually boosted them and got them, to even higher heights. But I never wanted to work from that place of like desperation. Also, I really enjoy my freedom. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I'm somebody that will get up and just decide to go somewhere randomly. I remember was it last year? I think it's last year. Like, time seems so, was it last year? I'm trying to remember if it was last year. If I'm not mistaken. Yes, last year, me and my friend just got up randomly and decided to go to Europe. We did not have to tell anybody prior. We didn't have to like make any like babysitting plans. We just got up, we went to Europe. We hitchhiked in like Italy, hitchhiked in Iceland. Like we were just staying at random places, and I feel like that certain level of freedom you can't necessarily enjoy with kids. Now, again, my stance has kind of changed because at some point you kind of realize that there's pros and cons to each thing. I think there's like as I've gotten older, I've really gotten a lot closer to my family. When I was younger, I wasn't really necessarily as close with them, but I feel like I appreciate them a lot more. And I'm not saying that you should just generally appreciate your family more as you get older. I think I have a very great family. We were kind of like, at odds, but as I've gotten older, I kind of realized, like I really like these people. I'm really closer to them now. So I can see the joy of creating a family, but also I don't see the necessity. It's almost like if this happened, this would be great, but I'm not like hard pressed. I don't feel like I've not enjoyed life. I feel like I've actually enjoyed a great life, even right now, if I was not to, pass on, because people like to say, oh, what is your legacy? What is this? And it's just like, who says that the legacy even matters? Like, isn't the whole point of life for you to enjoy your personal experience? If that is kids, then yeah, kudos to you. But if that's not kids, if that is to see the world, if that is to help people, if that is to create a cure for something, like I really feel like there's so much ways to define your personal legacy, and it doesn't have to be constrained to just having a child. People like to throw around your child as your legacy, but it's just like, is your child really a legacy, or is that just an excuse for you to get somebody pregnant? Like, I don't know. That's my 2 cents right there. So that's why I haven't personally had them. There's still this level of fear. Because honestly, I feel like no matter how much money I make, I'm going to always be like, I should have some more before I have a kid. So I'd probably say if I wanted to have one, it would just be random because I'm going to always find a reason not to. So I think right here I was actually talking about some benefits. I wrote this down. I was writing my points about some benefits I think about being child free, which I mentioned earlier. One of them being my ability to just get up and do certain things on my own. I feel like in terms of moving around, in terms of certain decisions I make, I'm allowed a lot more impulsivity without kids. And that's not to say you need to live your life like that. I personally enjoy that because I'm not going to ever tell someone to, not have a kid because they can go around and be free. But it's just like if you enjoy freedom, some people enjoy structure, some people enjoy having, a solid, family base like that, their own personal family. And who am I to tell them that freedom is better? It's just really more so about you. And you have to kind of think about that. Honestly, I know a lot of people that have kids that are very unhappy. I also know a lot of people that have kids that are very happy. I just feel like it's really more, it's so uniquely based that's why I don't think people should just go around having kids without really thinking about it. Because even my dad, I mean, no shade to that man. I love that man. I actually should do a video about that guy. I'm probably gonna do a video about that guy, but I really feel like in theory he wanted a child, but I think like in actuality he was not ready for a child. And I think that was one. I think he's one of the reasons why I'm very cautious about having kids because a lot of the pressures from having a child was put on my mother. My mother was, pretty young at the time, so him not taking certain responsibilities put her under a lot of pressure, and because of that pressure that she was under, I felt like I had a really like tough childhood. I use tough. I use tough because basically we were always at odds. We were always kind of like beefing, and she was a lot harder on me. And I was just like, yo, why are you being so tough on me? I did not ask to be here. But that again in itself is another story. But maybe that's probably one of the bigger reasons why I was very traumatized about like, going into like having kids and stuff because I did not want a situation where, maybe the mother of my child not having certain stuff, making her bitter, and then, making my child have a, it's very complicated. But again, I just feel like you have to really sit down and decide if this is for you. For me right now, 31, I don't feel like I've missed out on too much. I'm still pretty young if I decide to change my mind. But it's like if I don't, I still feel like I'm at a great tipping point. Like even 40s, I feel like you still have kids. I'd probably say maybe 50s would be tough, but even 40s, even a 40-year-old, I think could still be a good age to have kids. Focus on career. So yeah, I've been a pretty career focused person. I do feel like when you have kids, they can kind of tend to interfere in your career. I've come to a little realization when it comes to career that honestly, career and like societal things like that, yeah, they're cool, but they're not end all be all. Like younger me would kill for like an amazing career, but you know when you get like a good career, you kind of realize, okay, what else is there to life? I feel like you have to get to this level of success, and I'm not saying this to my own horn because I'm not making it seem like, oh, I'm Bill Gates. It's just more so I'm comfortable, and when you get to a certain level of comfort, you get to be able to question certain stuff. So like when I was in like a more like rougher spot, I didn't care about like philosophy and like the meaning of stuff. But it's like when you're actually okay and you can sit down and think, you really start questioning a lot of your whys. So when you're desperate, when you're like, you know, in the rat race and you need to get some money, you all you will care about is your career because you're trying to get to the next step. But once you've actually gotten to that step, I think that's where you start questioning stuff like, okay, what was the point of all this? Did this fill the void that I was feeling? Was I just trying to feel secure? Will I ever feel secure? Is there a dollar amount that will actually let me stop panicking? Or maybe I'm just panicking because of trauma. And then you get to that place afterwards. So that's why I never dissuade people or discourage people from trying to, you know, push all the way through. Because I say it before, say it again. Money isn't everything, but like when you don't have it, it feels like everything. So yeah, it is important to kind of think about like what is you like if you're more worried about your career or if you're more worried about the relationships. And I think it's actually important to have a balance between the two. So yeah, definitely. Not having kids, I feel like it allows me to focus more on my career, and it does allow me to take opportunities that I probably couldn't have. So, you know, I get opportunities to travel sometimes. I probably wouldn't be able to do that if I had a child. I probably wouldn't regardless. I probably wouldn't take on certain jobs, but I think it would also push me more if I had a child to probably earn a lot more and be a lot more strict and be a lot more harder. Like I'm able to be a little more casual with work because I'm only taking care of myself and probably helping some people along the way, but not necessarily taking care of a whole other human being or human beings. Yo, like I keep in this whole video, I've been emphasizing a child, but yo, imagine having like multiple children. Like, how do you guys afford it? Like, I can barely afford myself. You know what I really think about? You know what I want to touch on? I feel like having a child will really readjust your thought process in terms of like your financial responsibilities. Because I know people that earn like way less than me that have multiple kids and they do it pretty well. And it's just like, you know, maybe if I was squeezing around like, you know, money in different places and probably like I guess going out less. And I don't go out that often to be honest. I really don't. But you know, even the few times I could cut those down to probably like, you know, what I think I spend most of my money on is tech. Like I'm always getting like camera gear and whatever. I'm a photographer, I have a photography channel. I probably link that below. But yeah, I just feel like having kids would really rearrange my financial responsibilities, which I probably should do that. Probably should do that. But don't have kids just to to spend money better. Like, listen, you're bringing a whole person into the universe or into the world, and honestly, this world is very stressing. Before you have kids, just like meds it. Like seriously, still don't meds it. Next thing I want to say is like I feel like not having kids in your 30s really allow you to kind of discover yourself. I feel like when you have a child, because here's the thing, I think 30s is the age of discovery, or the years of discovery, because when you reach your 30s, I think you would have been working long enough that you have some level of stability. I'm not saying that you have to, and for those of you that don't, I understand, you know, life is complicated, but I'd like to believe that most people in their 30s would have some level of like career stability, that have been working for at least say 10 years. Let's say you finish college at 23, let's say you've been working for at least 7 years. So you'd have some kind of income, some kind of like experience in the workforce, some sort of experience with dating. So it's like you have a stronger sense of self. And the thing is, if you had a child during those 20s, you probably wouldn't be able to be doing as much like self reflection because you'd be having to be outwardly with the child. But it's like because you know your main relationship at that point be either yourself or your partner, is like you have more time to kind of really be introspective and stuff like that. So I feel like not having a child in your 30s allow you for really spend time to figure out yourself, to really like know who you are and like figure out your whys and your no's and your yeses and stuff like that. Um, hold on. Yo, I feel like I've been ranting for so long. Hope I'm not saying no foolishness, you know. You guys can let me know if you do agree with what I'm saying. It's just my personal big thing is this is my personal experience. So I guess there are no wrongs or rights. So let's talk about some challenges. Loneliness and fear of missing out. So here's the funniest thing with that. I feel like people that stress about being lonely because they don't have kids are very selfish. First of all, there are millions of people on this earth. There's no rule book that says you have to have a child to have like a relationship or a family. Like there's kids that you could adopt, right? And let's not even talk about adoption. Let's not even make it a child-based thing. Like there's so many lonely people. Like go talk to somebody. Like I don't feel like not having a child is gonna make you like lonely. I don't think a child should be used as someone to not make you lonely. If you're having kids, do it because you want to like, give back and let them have a great life. Like don't think of them as a tool to help your loneliness, like that's not their job. So yeah, like I've never imagined having my own family. Cause well, I use in my own family meaning that I have a child, cause I obviously have a family. But yeah, like I've never imagined like having a child just so that I don't feel lonely. I think that's crazy. I think people that do that really need to like take a self check, right? Some people like to float around the fact that you're gonna get old one day and regret it, and it's just like maybe not. And honestly, I feel like it's just maturity, which is why questioning yourself a lot is important. Like if you are at this age and you're allowed to change your mind, people change their mind all the time. But if you're at this age and you don't want kids, you just don't. Like do not make because of your fear of regretting it that you go and do it. Just really sit down and think about it. It's not that hard. Um, so navigating friendships and relationships. So I do feel having kids can kind of change how you navigate that. I do feel like I don't have kids, so coming from my point is I'm still able to do a lot of the things I used to do when I was younger. Still can have like bros nights, still can go to parties, stuff like that. A lot of my friends that do have kids, they still go, but it's a lot less. They have to really kind of factor in those going out nights, factor in those like girls' nights or those boys' nights. Things have to become usually like a plan. And even in cases where I'm like, no, you can't bring your son or you can't bring your daughter, it's like it's still not as simple because they have to make like certain arrangements. So I feel like having kids, especially when they're young, because here's the thing, in the 30s, most times those kids are going to be like 10, 11, or maybe like 9. Uh, Basically, the kids are young. Because I feel like when kids get to teenage years, the parents do kind of get back a little bit of the freedom. Not as much, but a little bit of the freedom. But it's like in the 30s, it's like they're still too young to be like independent. So like there's still this level of like can't do anything, can't go anywhere. And that's totally understandable. But for me, I still have the luxury of having like very solid friendships because I think people also usually distance away from their friendships when they become very involved in their family. It's a natural process. I kind of wish that we could find ways to integrate families again, but because especially if, for instance, I with not having a family and then my friend like has a child, they're probably gonna want to interact with people I guess that have regular families too. So yeah, I think the dynamic really does kind of shift away, but I really hope that one day we can come to a point where people can really like um, find ways to connect again, especially when they become parents. So yeah, in terms of advantages of not having a child in your 30s, I do feel like it gives you the opportunity to kind of self-reflect. I think it gives you time to focus more on your career. It gives you time to really stack your bread. Disadvantages could be is that maybe you are robbing yourself from a really important part in your life. It is great to have a family, especially if that's something that's important to you. And I think I just want to leave this video saying to you that don't let society define what you want. Like, don't let peer pressure stop you from having kids or stop you from not having kids. It's just really an individual thing. Think about it and just decide if this is for you. Like, it might be for you, it might not. I really hope you'd not take a chance with having an entire human being. But when I say take a chance, meaning like on a whim, like don't have kids on a whim. Really sit down and think about it. But if it's for you, it's definitely for you. And if you have a kid right now in your 30s, I'm hoping you're having a great time. And if you don't, I hope you're having a great time too. If you enjoy this video, YouTube algorithm says that you're gonna love this video right here.